Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the fourth inning of Reimagine Strikeout ALS. I am Mary Wilson Wheelock, Executive Director of the ALS Association Northern Ohio Chapter, and your host of this evening's special award ceremony honoring Angela Stanley and Andy Natale. First, a few housekeeping issues. All of the participants in tonight's ceremony are broadcasting via Zoom from their homes to ensure safe social distancing. You might get or pets, hear lawnmowers or motorcycles, and transitions between one presenter to the other may take a little longer than normal. And watching the news or even Saturday Night Live, this seems to be the new normal. I hope you will find charm in our efforts. Just think, you are part of our first virtual award ceremony. You are making history with us. For more than 20 years, Strikeout ALS has generated a significant portion of the funds we need to support our mission. Last year, the event provided nearly $250,000 that the chapter used to provide, free of charge, our services to those living with ALS throughout Northern Ohio. This year, we hope you will help us reach that $250,000 goal again. Our ability to continue these critical programs hinges on your support. In better times, we would have been gathered tonight at the Global Center for Health Innovation for this year's event. Rather than cancel or reschedule, we chose to reimagine, even through a 9-inning campaign that will end on June 30th. We are now in inning 4, and to date, we have raised almost $90,000 towards our $250,000 goal. A significant portion of funds raised to date has come from our sponsors, which include Parker Hannafin, Fleet Response, the Stevenson Family Foundation, the DeGrandis family, Mr. and Mrs. Jack Draves, Jackie Fott, the Mosley family, Key Private Bank, Focal Point Marketing, and Veta Printing. All of this evening's event, as part of this evening's event, we are launching a pledge drive to help us get to our goal. In the comments on this video stream, you will find a link to our giving, or you can visit us at this link, bit.ly/strikeoutals2020. And I'm going to bring that a little closer so you all can see it. Again, it is bit.ly/strikeoutals2020. There, you can make your pledge as well as register for our 5th inning, which is an online auction starting on May 24th. And that reminds me, making a gift right now is a little clunky because we're not all gathered at an event or taking part in an online auction. In normal circumstances, you would have already checked in by the time we got to the awards presentation. So since we had to skip that tonight, you'll need to register and start bidding to make your gift. Please don't let this minor inconvenience deter you from supporting our mission. Speaking of mission, while our chapter's physical office closed on March 16th, our team is putting in long hours of remote work to ensure that our programs and services continue at pre-COVID levels. Our support groups are now fully virtual and attendance grows with each meeting. Our durable medical equipment partner continues to provide loan-to-power wheelchairs and Hoyer lifts, and we're purchasing smaller items that can be shipped directly to homes. The demand on our grants to patient program continues to grow. We had a 30% increase in grants paid just last month. Recent advocacy efforts have resulted in the removal of barriers that would have reduced access to non-invasive ventilators and the support of licensed respiratory therapists. Non-invasive ventilation, guided by respiratory therapists, is used by a significant portion of people living with ALS. That's a big win. ALS hasn't stopped, and neither will we. And now it's time for the show. Tonight, we will honor 2 amazing people whose battles with ALS are not only inspirational, but transformational. Both of these individuals took their devastating diagnoses and propelled themselves into 2 of the fiercest and most committed ALS advocates and supporters I've ever met. Angela Stanley and Andy Natale have made indelible marks on the ALS community, and the honors bestowed tonight serve as a fitting tribute to their incredible work. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Fred DeGrandis, Chair Emeritus of the chapter and a National Trustee of the ALS Association. Our chapter cannot begin to thank Fred and his family for their outstanding contributions of time, talent, and treasure to those living with ALS. Fighting ALS is absolutely a family affair for the DeGrandises. Fred's mother, Rosemarie, and his sisters, Mary Lou Wellman, Kathy Kramer, and Debbie Hornick, were founding members of the Strikeout ALS Committee. Kathy served on our chapter board a while back. Her son, Scooter, is a member of the Tennessee chapter board. Mary Lou's son, Matt Slife, and Fred's daughter, Natalie Partridge, currently serve on our board. Every member of the family has volunteered and or made contributions to the chapter throughout the last 20 plus years. And I am so thrilled to share that just this morning at 4:43 a.m., Natalie Partridge and her husband Taylor brought into the world the newest DeGrandis family member. Everybody meet Addison Catherine, who came into the world weighing 8 pounds, 9 ounces. Congratulations to Mom, Dad, and of course, proud Grandpa Fred. While I can't see or hear you, please put your hands together for Fred DeGrandis.
Good evening, and thank you, Mary. And thanks for the wonderful call out to my daughter Natalie and her husband Taylor and my newest grandchild Addison. They are all watching from Fairview Hospital from Natalie's bed right now. As you said, my family and I are very proud to have been longstanding volunteers and supporters of the ALS Association of Northern Ohio. Having lost our dad and our children's grandfather in 1997 to ALS, my brothers, sisters, and I, and our children know from our life experience how vitally important the chapter services are to families in our region who are navigating this difficult journey. My family, and as Mary said, with my mom's leadership, started the Strikeout ALS benefit more than 20 years ago to raise what are vital dollars for the chapter. On behalf of my family, I am honored to present the DeGrandis Family Award each year to recognize an outstanding fundraiser and fundraising efforts on behalf of our chapter. We regret, as Mary said this year, we can't be together in person to celebrate both the life and the accomplishments of our award recipient, Angela Stanley. We are very grateful, though, to have access to the technology that we have that allows us to be together in this way. And by the way, this technology allows our great team at the chapter to continue to do its good work on behalf of people with ALS while working remotely. They continue to do that work with great professionalism, overcoming the isolation of the pandemic with professionalism and empathy. Now to this year's award recipient. She is a very special person. Angela Stanley brought together her family and friends and motivated them to do everything they could to support the fight against ALS. Her team, the Stanley Stampede, raised nearly $74,000 for the Akron Walk to defeat ALS over a 2-year period. And that just was not enough for Angela to do. She gathered more of her friends in the Hudson Newcomers Club and made the 2019 gala and auction the most successful one yet, netting $250,000. Sadly, Angela lost her battle with this horrific disease in January of this year. But we're very happy that Angela's family is with us. Her husband, Dave, and her children, Jake, Brooke, and Jackson, to accept the award on Angela's behalf. We salute Angela's family for the loving care that David provided his wife and the beautiful support the children provided for their mother. We're honored to share a video with you to tell you more about the 2020 DeGrandis Family Award recipient, Angela Stanley. And then after that video, You will then hear from David, her husband. Thank you very much.
Her awareness led throughout the whole United States. And I mean, it's kind of just like that snowball effect where, you know, it of course is going to start with us and her family, and we're going to learn about it. But then we learn about it, and then we tell others.
I think a big part of her was just her care for other people, and she saw this as an opportunity to represent others that are going through the same thing, and you know, just her love for people and her kindness. I think that's what inspired her.
Angela was really an inspiration to many people, including to me. Her team, the Stanley Stampede, raised $73,000 for the Akron Walk to defeat ALS. And even after they did that, they weren't done. Angela really wanted to do more, and she involved her group, the Hudson Newcomers Club, in the gala. Angela and her friends in the Hudson Newcomers Club helped make sure that auction and gala were a success. The auction itself raised $55,000 that year, which was almost $20,000 more than it had raised the year before. And the overall auction and gala raised $250,000, which again was a record for the gala and auction for the chapter.
I think with the kind of person that she was, you know, once she received the diagnosis, she wasn't just going to sit back. She was going to make sure she did everything she could and teamed up with the right organizations.
I think that we all kind of motivated her. She always told us to be the best that we could be, and I think she like reflected that to just like be a good influence.
I think it brings so many people together. I mean, like Angela, like Mindy said, she always she loved to entertain. She loved to be with people. All her life, she volunteered all the time.
Well, I think that was one of her goals, was to educate other people. So she wrote the articles in magazines and wanted to educate. And she also wanted to raise money. That was one of her goals, to raise as much money as she could to help to get a cure for ALS.
She really liked the walks. She walked both years that she attended. She walked the whole route by herself. You know, that last year, walking was pretty difficult. So she led the charge out, and she was the last one back. But it was very inspirational.
And it was just really cool seeing like all the people in blue with her shirt on supporting her, and how many people were behind her in her fight along with her.
Angela was a bright ray of sunshine in everybody's life. She never had a negative thing to say about anybody. She rarely complained about it. Here she was handed this diagnosis, this fatal diagnosis, the worst diagnosis I think that anybody could receive, and she did it with a grace that I've never seen before. She was truly a remarkable spirit, and she made everybody that she came in contact with want to be a better person.
You know, trying to make sense of it all, and why Ange? Why the most beautiful person in the world? And then I think she was probably the only one of any of us who could reach as many people as she has. I mean, if God wanted awareness for this, he chose the right person, because she's so good with everybody and had so many I know I have a ton more friends and family because of her.
I just want to thank everybody that supported our family, including the ALS Association. We want to thank the DeGrandis family for this tremendous award. This is something that we will be able to cherish year after year and continue to support those people with ALS in their fight until we find a cure.
Well, good evening from the Stanley home. We'd like to thank you for that beautiful tribute to a beautiful soul, our Angela. I'm sure many of you right now are crying. We were really touched by the video and by this award. It's kind of funny. There's been a cardinal running around outside. We can see outside. There's been a cardinal keeps coming up to the window and looking in. And it feels like it's Ange to us. We would like to thank the ALS Association of Northern Ohio and the DeGrandis family for this tremendous honor for Angela. The ALS Association helps so many people battling this terrible disease. When we would go to the ALS clinic appointments at Cleveland Clinic, we would always be greeted by members of the team like Cassie and other ALS ambassadors. Mary's dad was an ALS ambassador, and he would help us navigate the days of appointments when we went to those clinics. It was so good to see friendly faces and get the support from people who understand what she was fighting. The ALS supports people. The ALS Association supports people with ALS in so many other ways, like research and trial referrals, hands-on support from Mary, Cassie, and the rest of the team, and educational exchange meetings where people with ALS can meet others in the same situation. It was important to Angela to do all she could to raise money and awareness for the cause. What you saw on that video was real. This woman was all of those things and more. My buddy Greg Teed says it best when he says she was one of the best people he ever met. She really was. She was the best mom, the best sister, the best daughter, best wife, and the best friend. Faith, family, and friends were everything for Angela. She could light up a room just by smiling. She made all of us better. She showed us how to make a difference. She taught us how to treat others. Even with a brutal diagnosis like ALS, her spirit didn't diminish. She was strong, she was positive, and she was inspirational. She used her adversity to help others. My family would like to acknowledge the outpouring of love and support we received from those of you that are watching this. We cannot say enough about the community of Hudson, Ohio, where we live. This town held us up in support and love, and they were always there. We've had the opportunity to live in many places. Everywhere we went, Angela made lifelong friends. This was because that's who she was. She made everybody better. I speak for our entire family when I say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We would like to thank the ALS community, those who went before her, and those who are currently battling this disease. ALS somehow targets the best people. These people band together to share love and support for one another. We will always support those fighting ALS until a cure is found. In closing, we would again like to thank the ALS Association of Northern Ohio and the DeGrandis family for honoring our queen. I know she's watching us right now. She's crying, she's proud, and she is humbled by this recognition. And now Jake and Brooke and Jackson would like to leave you with some of their favorite Angela-isms.
For me, what sticks out, pretty much from the time that I started driving in high school, every time I would leave the house, she would tell me, be good, be safe, be smart. And when she lost her ability to speak from ALS, that turned into like a glare and a point.
What sticks out to me is she would always call me a cute nickname. She always called me Brookie Bear. So that means a lot to me.
And for me, my mom would always tell me to do the best I could do and be the best I could be. And it was just always really inspirational, and I loved it when she would say it.
So again, we want to thank the DeGrandis family for this tremendous award. Jackson's been holding it; it's kind of heavy, but we want to sign off by giving a big thumbs up as Ange would, and hail to the Queen. Thank you.
Back to me. Yay. Congratulations again, Angela. She made such an indelible impression on me and finds ways to inspire me when I need it most. I am so glad that we were able to honor her in this way. And I can't wait to tell you about Andy Natale, our 2020 ALS Hero Award winner. The ALS Hero Award is considered the highest honor bestowed by the ALS Association. Andy was among just 4 recipients from across the United States to receive this award at the ALS Association Heroes Dinner held in late February in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you've met Andy, you undoubtedly are aware that he considers himself blessed. Like the immortal words of Lou Gehrig, Andy feels that he is a lucky man, despite receiving the diagnosis of ALS in November of 2016. Andy has a slow progressing form of ALS, and after 3.5 years of living with the disease, he still maintains the ability to walk and talk, albeit slowly and not for very long, breathe and write. Andy recognized early in his diagnosis that he had the ability to make a profound impact on the ALS community at large, and set to work on how to capitalize on his extensive network and financial resources. Andy is considered by many to be one of Northeast Ohio's premier construction attorneys. He has utilized his prominence to bring awareness and support from that industry and beyond to those living with ALS. In the video you'll see shortly, you'll hear all about his contributions to our chapter. They're pretty amazing. Andy also utilizes his network throughout the country to connect those living with ALS and the respective chapters to their ALS Association. He is always willing to talk with newly diagnosed families, promoting the programs and services offered by the association. He personally invites those living with ALS to attend the Walk to Defeat ALS with him, resulting in a big increase in attendance by those living with ALS. He has a second home in Charleston, South Carolina, where you'll see him tonight, and he has championed efforts to increase beach access for those with mobility issues. And he never, ever misses an opportunity to say thank you for the programs, services, and support that he receives from the Northern Ohio chapter. Andy believes that he has been called upon to utilize his physical and financial abilities to bring awareness and support for those living with ALS. Like all ALS heroes, Andy has not allowed his disease to slow him down. He continues to remain active in the community, spreading hope and awareness to a broad professional and social audience along the way, and even manages to do it while social distancing. We are all fortunate that he is using his voice to speak for those who have lost theirs. As we cue this great video highlighting our ALS hero, Andy Natale, I want to remind you to please consider donating to the pledge drive via this link, bit.ly/strikeoutals2020. Following the video, you will hear directly from Andy. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Natale.
When I was first diagnosed with ALS, my big concern, I told the doctor, I'm fine. God's got a plan. But I told him that I was just incredibly anxious and worried about my family, that they would feel overwhelmed and burdened. And when we met the ALS Association and Cassie came to our home the first time, you knew you were dealing with an extraordinarily special group of people. They cared.
When we were offered the opportunity to nominate someone for this award, Andy came to mind right away. He has been the honorary chair of the Cleveland Walk to Defeat ALS for 2 years now. And that resulted in a 300% increase in the amount of sponsorship dollars we've received and a 30% increase in the walk program for our chapter overall.
To me, it's, I would say, another example of God's grace. It really is a confirmation that through some small things that we all do, focused on trying to help others, how that's seen and it ripples through the community.
Andy has used his voice in the community to really bring awareness to the disease and help people understand how it affects people's lives. He's also used his influence to bring much support to our chapter so that we are able to provide much needed services to families living with ALS.
Andy continues to remain tremendously active in the construction community. I see in the ALS community, this I believe is the third year I've attended the ALS walk with him. You know, what's really beautiful is that he continues to be able to participate in those walks, times even walking up to the stage. He spreads hope and awareness to a broad professional and social audience that he has in the construction community, in his faith community, and others. And his voice is a voice of someone who's been living with ALS, struggling with ALS, and more importantly, helping others with ALS.
My definition of a hero is somebody who really knows that life's not about them. It's about what do you do through your actions to live God's prayer and to live to make a difference, to help other people. And that's the way I was raised. That's the way I was taught by my great mother and father and grandparents, that we're all here to make a difference for others. And I look at this award and I realize I didn't do anything other than what I was simply taught at the youngest of ages. Care about other people, love other people, do it unconditionally and without limits.
I had a client say to me, Aaron, I need you to do what Andy does, which is go in and will it. If you imagine it or envision it, focus on it and push forward, whether it's football, whether it's construction law practice, any litigation, or even ALS. He sees his way past it, doesn't let anything get in his way, and pushes through it.
And that's where I see my fight, is I will never fight alone. I have got great family and great friends and great love around me all the time. And we're going to bring that to the association day in and day out, because we know how much of an impact we will make in this world and with the families that are affected by this disease.
In one word, I would say Andy is intense, In another word, I would say Andy is passionate. In another word, I would say Andy is caring. In another word, I would say Andy's my friend.
Call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. You got a friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here with Missy, my awesome wife, and we're so happy that you've joined us today with the Northern Ohio chapter of the ALS Association. The ALS Association and Northern Ohio chapter has done so much for my family and does so much for everybody that is affected with ALS and their families. They support the caregivers. They drive hospital programs and the quality of treatment that's available for those suffering with ALS. In addition to that, they do unbelievable things in terms of providing respite support for caregivers and for families. Mary mentioned that my onset of ALS and the progression of this disease in me is quite different than what you will see in any other person. The one thing that I need to remind everybody about that may be watching this is that while ALS is considered to be a very rare disease, in Northeast Ohio, it probably has one of the more highest prevalences around the world. In the last year alone, I've come to know 5 different people right in the community where we live that have been diagnosed, and the progression of their disease is horrific. It's very difficult on their families. The ALS Association has brought great love into my house. They have brought incredible support and care for the families that I've introduced to them, and they are incredibly supportive of the overall effort for fundraising and research. And for that, we're forever grateful. Mary, the DeGrandis family are unbelievable as it relates to the ongoing effort to continue to advance the ability to keep people informed of what this disease does to families and how it affects them. They have been extraordinarily supportive of my family. And there's no question in my mind that God has graced me with an opportunity to provide information to people and to help people understand how much of a burden and how much of a difficult disease this is for families. We're surrounded by great family and great friends and great love all the time. And the prayers that people have offered for us have been most uplifting. And we will continue a great fight in order to raise terrific money so that the Northern Ohio chapter of the ALS Association can do what it does. They support incredible efforts by people like Dr. Anders with his diaphragmatic pacer, which has kept me breathing without a tracheotomy for years. I'm very unique in that way. But again, God's got a plan. God's got a purpose. And your purpose today is to assist however you can in terms of raising money and support for the ALS Association of Northeast Ohio. We're most grateful for this award, but as I said in the video, we're not doing anything else than what we were told at the very youngest of ages and taught, which is to just care about and love other people. And my heart goes out and my prayers are offered for the Stanley family. What an amazing, amazing story of love, courage, and support. And that's what keeps us all going. And I will always be here, and my family will always be here to support the patients and the families that are battling this disease. And we will always be here to support the ALS Association. Thank you so very much. Please give generously.
Again, congratulations, Andy and Angela. And I know we're not together, but I really feel like a round of applause is in order. Please join me. Thank you. I hope you have felt the impact that the ALS Association has had on the lives of Andy and Angela. Our continued work relies on your continued generosity. Our programs are offered free of charge. We don't bill insurance, and we receive no regular local, state, or federal support. Our only means of support is through private donations like yours. And I'm really pleased to report that during this broadcast, we've received a very generous donation of $10,000 from friends of Angela Stanley and Fred DeGrandis, bringing our total to just under $100,000. I know that there are people out there that can help get us past $100,000. So let's put our hands together for getting to almost $100,000. And if you can, please give at bit.ly/strikeoutals 2020. The pledge drive will remain open throughout our remaining innings. Every donation brings us one step closer to achieving our vision to create a world without ALS. We know these are uncertain times. If you're not in a position to make a financial contribution, you can help by giving the gift of time. You could take a few moments to follow us on social media, share our posts and forward our emails to your networks, set up a Facebook fundraiser benefiting the ALS Association Northern Ohio chapter, register for a walk to defeat ALS in your area, share your ALS story. All of these contributions require just a little bit of time, no money, and can have a big impact on our efforts. And for those of you who are in a position to make a gift, big or small, we really need your help. COVID-19's effect on the economy has severely impacted giving to our chapter. Our many years of prudent fiscal management has led to strong reserves, and they are helping us weather this storm. But they are not infinite. As you heard from Dave and Andy, our programs are desperately needed to help those living with ALS navigate this horrible disease. The Ice Bucket Challenge propelled the ALS Association to become a global leader in ALS research. Our advocacy efforts ensure ongoing federal support of ALS research and access to therapies and care for those living with ALS. All of these efforts rely on your support. So for one more time tonight, I will ask you to visit our donation page and hold up my favorite sign, bit.ly/strikeoutals 2020. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This live presentation will be posted to our page shortly for you to share. Congratulations again to the Natale and Stanley families on your incredibly deserved awards, and welcome to the newest DeGrandis baby. May you all stay safe and healthy, and I look forward to brighter days when we can all celebrate together again. Together, we will strike out ALS. Good night.